In professional tennis, the biggest opponent isn't Djokovic, Sinner, or Alcaraz. It's your own body. Welcome back to Full Court Tennis Advantage podcast. I'm Brian Teacher, Australian Open champion, coach, and founder of the Full Court Tennis app. Today, we're talking about staying healthy, preventing catastrophic injuries like Holger Rune's Achilles rupture at age 22, and the real truth about footwork, movement, efficiency, and what keeps Sinner and Alcaraz healthy. You know, I had my own Achilles tendon surgery to repair the sheath in my early 30s. I had a big knot on it and I couldn't move. And I had to have surgery, and it took me nearly a year, and I never fully returned the same. I guess you could say Rune is lucky that he's young, but Achilles injuries and having to have surgery on it is brutal. Let's dive in on it and find out why tennis breaks bodies. Well, tennis is really the perfect storm. Why? Because there's sprinting, there's breaking, there's cutting, sliding with your feet, explosive rotational load, unpredictable movement, and hundreds of violent accelerations per match. So you can have errors which overload the Achilles more than any stroke flaw. Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, they stayed great because they mastered movement efficiency. You cannot improve if you're injured. So why did Rune tear his Achilles? Well, for sure, Holger Rune is known as one of the hardest working players on the tour, but why does a 22-year-old rupture an Achilles? I'll tell you why, because if you're trying to be one of the best players in the world like Holger, you're living in the red line every day, pushing your body to the limit. Achilles degeneration gives no warning, by the way. Tendons recover slower than muscles. Load spikes. We got travel, fatigue, dehydration. Even the elite physios can't override tendon biology. So let's look at Sinner and Alcaraz health model, and we'll look at Sinner first. So why has he stayed healthy so far? Well, he worked on his scheduling with his team. He's got better hip loading, that's for sure, on his serve, is much stronger and much more fluid. Stronger glutes and calves. He's gotten stronger in general. Very efficient footwork patterns. And he's got really stable landing mechanics. If you look at him, he's really smooth. And when you want to look at Alcaraz, he's got this natural elasticity, elite hip mobility for sure, fluid braking patterns. And he's got a great strength to weight ratio. But both live on the razor's edge. One wrong movement can shift everything. So when we look at weekend warriors, they have 10 times more Achilles tears. Recreational players are far more vulnerable due to their tight calves from sitting all day, right? Weak foot muscles, stiff hips, then they do sudden lunges with no warm-ups and poor braking mechanics. Most ruptures happen when someone lunges wide after sitting all day. What actually helps Achilles recovery now? Some people think it's PRP. I'm not talking about surgery. I'm just talking about tendonitis on your Achilles. Some people think they do PRP. But by the way, it's not shown to improve recovery. And especially for ruptures, there's no way. And then you can look at stem cells. Well, it's promising for chronic tendonitis, but it's experimental for ruptures. They haven't found what it works. What does work is for ruptures is you got to get a great surgeon, first of all, and then you have to have a smart team so that you early weight bearing, controlled progress loading, calf and soleus strength, eccentric heel drops, hot progression, glute, hip strength, and then dynamic warm up, along with, a lot of collagen and vitamin C pre-training, magnesium electrolytes. Most Achilles ruptures begin with repetitive poor movement patterns. So there's 5, I think, deadly patterns to strained Achilles or ruptures. So late split step with a violent push off, that could do it. Overreaching on wide balls, heel plant breaking, missing adjustment steps, right? Excessive trunk rotation without hip load. So what you can see in full court tennis with the app is you can look at the split step timing, the push-off angles, braking mechanics, hip, knee, ankle alignment. We're putting the skeleton tracking is new, so you can be able to look at all the angles and compare it to the top pros. Wide ball movement sequencing, right? So let's look at what we can do to improve our chances of not having an Achilles issue, okay? So let's look at some footwork drills. So Number one, we can do some shadow split step drill. Well, what is that? So shadow movement without a ball. Split step, move to an imaginary forehand and hit it, recover and repeat it. Also, you can do shadow to the up at net, like with split step to the volley to go out and hit it. Shadow, split step volley, overhead, go back. This all teaches timing and readiness. Then you have the double adjustment step drill, which is 2 small steps before hitting instead of just one big lunge. Prevents overreaching and protects the Achilles. So you're always in balance with your feet. Crossover catch-up step drill on wide balls, using a big crossover step to recover efficiently without overloading the tendon. And when you run wide and break, so you have to learn control. The practice is soft, controlled braking before pushing back, which trains safe de-acceleration. There's a small hop reactive drill, which is mini pogo hops reacting to hand or voice cues, builds elastic strength safely. And then we got the neutral open stance transitional drill. So you start neutral, rotate into an open stance while shadowing the swing, improves hip loading and reduces Achilles strain. So then we've got strength training, okay? So these are kind of some essential things. You can do a short foot drill, which is lift your arch of your foot by sliding the big toe mound toward the heel. Do not curl your toes. This strengthens the foot foundation. Here's another exercise, the toe splay drill. Spread your toes apart like a piano key, which builds stabilizer muscles. 3, balance your pad stability. Stand on one leg on a foam pad or a folded towel. It trains the ankle and foot control. You got straight knee calf raises, the calf raises with the knee straight. Then you got the bent knee soleus raises, calf raises with knees slightly bent. It targets the soleus, the Achilles protector. We got then the Alfredson eccentric hill drops. Rise with both feet, lower slowly with one foot over a step. And then you got pogo hops, small vertical hops with minimal knee bend. Builds Achilles elasticity. Lateral bounds, side to side, single leg jumps, land soft. It builds controlled tendon loading. My Achilles story, I had chronic Achilles tendonitis basically, and I built up this adhesion, which was like a giant knot on my Achilles. So every step hurt, every push-up was painful, and it hit me kind of at the height of my career where I just lost a step. And so I had to have surgery. By the way, I talked to one doctor and he says, oh, you don't need surgery. So I tried physio for 6 months. And another guy says, you're going to need surgery. So I ended up having to have surgery. It literally took a year, basically, year to year and a half to get back. Those days, we didn't have traveling physio. So, and I was still doing an hour and a half of yoga a day. It turned out that I was having foot issues and I wasn't wearing an orthotic. So you never know. Always get your feet checked out. Make sure your shoes and your orthotics are good. But Rune is young. He's going to come back. But, you know, the Achilles injuries test your mind as much as your body. It is really a tough injury. So do your foot drills, do your strengthening on your legs. The best players aren't just great ball strikers. They're great survivors, by the way. Rune didn't rupture his Achilles because he did something wrong. Tennis pushes the human body to its limits. And if you're listening, take your footwork seriously. Take your movement patterns seriously. Take your strength seriously. Full court tennis lets you see split step timing, push-off mechanics, braking patterns, adjustment steps, hip, knee, ankle alignment. Compare it side by side with the pros. Fix what's dangerous before it becomes an injury. And download Full Court Tennis today. Keep improving. I'm Brian Teachers. Thanks for listening.